Okay, good afternoon. Calling to order Clark County Council in Council Time, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. We'll start with the roll call. Michelle?
Councillor Young?
Here.
Councillor Valcott?
Present.
Councillor Fuentes?
Here.
Councillor Little?
Here.
And Chair Marshall?
Here.
Thank you.
Are there amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments, but I just want to say something for the record. On our website, there is a work session request link for the Fairgrounds Capital Project financing. I'm going to put that on next week because the PDF agenda did not include that item. So just for public transparency, we'll push it to next week.
Great, that sounds good. As long as there isn't a time crunch on anything, that would be welcome. Okay, opening things up for public comment on agenda items only. And Michelle is getting the sign-up sheet and will be returning momentarily. Just take your time. No rush.
Gary Wilson?
County Council, thank you for your service. Your last few board meetings have been highly contentious, so hopefully moving forward, things will calm down and get back to some form of normalcy. So, I'm here to present almost 5,000 signatures of FVRL residents who have signed a petition I started some years ago, asking the FVRL to protect children from inappropriate programs and material for their age group in the library. They agree with the updated strategic plan qualifying intellectual freedom for children to be in line with their age and under parental approval. I applaud the library board's recent addition to their strategic plan, as do the almost 5,000 FVRL residents I represent. An unqualified intellectual freedom statement would allow children in the library to access all the material in the library, including explicit content. There are books in the library that depict child pornography in written and pictorial form. The book Gender Queer, for one. An unqualified intellectual freedom statement would allow children to access this and similar material. The library has taken a stance previously that it is up to the parent to police their child and are not acting as the adult in the room. However, a 6-year-old can't walk into an R-rated movie or even a PG-13 rated movie unaccompanied by a parent or guardian, and likewise, a 6-year-old should not be allowed to access similar content in the library. A majority of the library board are doing their fiduciary responsibility to protect the children in our library and should be applauded for their efforts and courage. They are designing a strategic plan that would be less divisive and ultimately more inclusive to everybody, and not just the chosen few demanding their way, as you've seen at your county council meeting recently. I heard there is an online petition that anyone living anywhere can log in seconds and submit, while I have actual signatures, addresses, phone numbers, and emails of FVRL residents. Don't listen to a loud minority. The vast majority of your constituents care about protecting children in the county. Please do the same. Do not attempt to remove our Clark County Library Board members. In the 75 years of the Fort Vancouver Inter-Rural Library District, there has never been any attempt to remove even one library board member, and almost 5,000 FVRL residents will stand against any attempt to do so. We are watching. Act wisely. And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online?
We have one online.
Okay.
Caller, you've been sent a request to unmute. Please go ahead and do so. State your name for the record and go ahead with your comment.
Good afternoon, Kimberly Goheen Elbin. Well, I got on okay today. So I'm going to be speaking on 4.2, your ordinance, where it says the rules and procedure and code of conduct. whereas the council is considering the matter at a duly advertised public hearing. We find out that and it was mentioned last night that public hearings really don't reach all the people that they should, but I think you know that. And then it includes that adoption will further the public health, safety, and welfare. I call bogus on that too. You guys are gonna do what you want saying it's for the public safety, but it really isn't. So on general provisions, except as otherwise provided in the charter or RCWs, these rules of procedure will govern the conduct of business of the county council. I want to remind this council that no matter what your agenda is, we the people will prevail. You are our government and we are your boss. You need to remember that, especially when you're disrespectful to me like you were last night. I'm also going to mention on general provisions under B, except otherwise provided by the charter or RCWs, these rules of procedure will govern the conduct of the business of the I'm going to again remind you that we are the boss, but I want to say you're actually you have 5 members here, it says, and that you will comply to Washington State's Open Public Meetings Act. I think you violated that numerous times just in your own way of thinking. I call it a violation. You call it maybe policy change. For instance, we lost our 3 minutes on separate and consent business items. So we want those 3 minutes back. You also took away the clear evidence that the minutes that are on your agendas most every week are on the agenda, and when it's on agenda items only, as it is today, we are going to speak on those minutes. They're very important. If they weren't, why would you pass them? So I don't want to hear any hogwash from anybody that those minutes aren't important and that they're in the past. That is not true. They are current and they are going to be passed and okayed by you, and we are going to be able to speak on them. So I want that policy changed in this. I'll ask Kathleen Otto and her staff to do so. Also, under chair and vice chair, the chair will preside and ensure orderly, efficient council meetings. Well, that hasn't happened for 2 weeks now. And usually when I speak, I either can't get on the phone and have to know that you guys are going to do
Thank you.
some sort
Your
of
time is up.
tactic with me to push.
Is there anyone else?
If there's anyone in the room that would like to make a public comment that didn't get a chance to sign up,
Would you like to make a comment?
please make sure to state your name for the record.
Oh, just press the button and then you'll be on the mic.
All right, thank you. Hi, I'm Margot Logan, and I'll just finish my comment that I wasn't able to finish the last time that had to do with illegal immigration. And my comment,
This is just for this meeting. It's just on agenda items only, and that's not an agenda item. You could come back when we have a regular council meeting and there'll be open public comment at that time.
well, I guess my follow-up to what that speaker was saying is about cutting people off and not giving enough time. So I thought, okay, there's only 2 of us here that you could hear this story about Sheila Warren and her son-in-law who was illegal, and she
Well,
told him to go back.
That's not
And
a
he
topic
did,
on the agenda.
and then he came
so
back
if you
and
have
legally-
something else you would like to speak to that's on the
You
agenda,
can
you
be
can do that.
flexible, Sue. You can
I'm
be
following
flexible.
our rules and procedures.
Yeah, well, you didn't last time, so.
Okay.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, concludes public comment. Thank you. On to old business. Are there any corrections to the minutes of February 11th, 2026? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved,
Second.
moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to the rules and procedures, and there's an updated draft. If council has any additions or thoughts from
And
the
just-
last time we spoke? Yes,
Yeah,
go
and
ahead.
just to note, that the updates from last week's or 2 weeks ago discussion, I did highlight in yellow as well, just to call out those changes from your discussion last week. If you want us to scroll down and hit those.
Yes, I think we can go page to page, and I'm thinking this won't take too long. So that was on page 5. And I think there was a question about whether or not we're approving them. We'll agree to, these are the changes we want to suggest. It will go to a public meeting though, and we'll adopt them officially then. Okay,
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
this item that is in front of you was at the request of the chair with regards to Robert's Rules of Order. Based on the discussion, I have drafted some language for council's consideration that says in general, keeping in general, Robert's Rules of Order will be followed. In the event of a conflict and or dispute regarding process or processes, including but not limited to recognizing any counselor asking for a point of order, the council will follow Robert's Rules of Order.
okay. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Belcott.
Obviously, I disagree with several of these changes. When will the public hearing be after, this is discussed today?
I'm not sure.
It will be dependent also on if council had additional edits and if you wanted to come back again. But if today was the final day, it's at least a 10 or a 15-day notice for a public hearing. And we have to add on a few more days just because of the Columbians timeline. So it'll probably be at least 3 weeks out,
All right, thanks, Kathleen.
of course.
Great. And as we go through this, if you have specific comments, this is for anyone, that would be great. So regarding this change here related to our fallback, will be Robert's rules. Is that agreeable?
Mm-hmm.
I've got one and one
Yep.
thumb.
I didn't realize it was on.
So I think that's enough to move it forward. Okay, and I wanted to revisit page 7 as far as our agenda.
Page 6 had a couple items on there
Okay,
first before,
Let's
if
do
that's okay.
6. Yep.
Item D at the top of the page, the council may remove any counselor from their counselor appointed board and or commission. I think there was a request from council to just, it said it's boards and commissions, which is consistent with the charter, but to try to make it clearer that it's a counselor appointed and council
Good.
approval. And then I just added and or on there because it's a board and or a commission. So just for clarity. Thank
Great.
you.
Councillor Belcott.
This doesn't align with the charter because the county manager is involved with appointments.
There's 2 different types of appointments, and I can pull up the charter numbers if that's helpful. One is the county manager recommends appointments for the Clark County advisory boards and commissions. And then the second one is the council appointing its own other counselors to the boards that they sit on. And I'm more than happy to share what the charter numbers are for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, give me a sec and I'm going to pull it up.
Okay, while we're waiting for that, are there other comments related to this? Because I think we had at least 3 of us last time that were in agreement. I see 3 thumbs up here, 4, and Councillor Belcott, I think you may be a no on this one.
Yeah, I'm in active litigation against all of you, so I'm a no.
Okay, thanks. And then moving, no, you may not, you're not recognized. Please sit down. Please sit down. Are you looking for those?
Yes, so the item in the charter, and Chris, correct me if I'm not doing this appropriately, but section 2.2 of the charter, item D, as in dog, says the council shall vote to appoint its members to boards and commissions, which is the ones that you do every January. And if you go down to section 2.4, that would be G, where the council confirms or rejects appointments to boards and commissions forwarded by the county manager, and then have concurrent authority on H. And I know it's in the rules and procedures as well for both of those, but that is for the advisory boards and commissions. And then let me look. There might be one more section on that. That would be section 3.3B. The county manager shall appoint members of boards, commission, task force, except as provided by state law and intergovernmental agreements or this charter. And then that appointment shall be presented to the council during a regular council meeting. So as you recall, on Tuesday meetings, there's always the appointments on there for like the Ethics Review Commission that was on last night as an example. But for Clark County advisory boards and commissions, most of those come through me. There are a couple of exceptions, like the Planning Commission, that the council does your own interviews. Those go through the regular process on the Tuesday meeting, and then every January is when council appoints its members to the boards and commissions that you sit on. I'm gonna ask Chris, did I miss anything? Okay.
I don't think so. I think that section 2.4 is the major one, where it says that the council shall appoint its members to boards and commissions.
Great, thank you for that clarification.
And my apologies, I'm
sorry, the public comment period is over. You'll have to come back another time. Okay, please don't interrupt our meeting. Go ahead.
and just because I was looking that up, I wanted to make sure it was the majority of the council supportive of the draft language in D and E. Because I was looking for that and not necessarily listening to your discussion.
Great, thanks. I'm a thumbs up on that. I think I've seen 3. Well, there's 3 to move it forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now page 7. As I've thought about our agenda, I recall a couple of years ago, actually, we had moved open public comment. It used to fall before the public hearings. And sometimes the public hearings are short and sometimes they're long.
I think it used to be at the end of the meeting after separate business and public hearings.
At the very
Very end.
I think at one point it may have been, but this is just to say sometimes the open public comment can go very long, and that for people who came just for the public hearings, they'll have to wait. And sometimes the public hearings go very long, and the people who come for just open public comment have to wait. So one way or the other, somebody is going to have to wait some time. I'm happy to do it one way or the other, but just wanted to remind
This was
folks of
council's
that.
request to
It
change
was.
this. So
Yes,
if you would
yes.
like to change, I agree with you. There's not a perfect place.
There is not a perfect place, but I'm good with whatever folks want. Yes, Councillor Belcott.
I think we moved it. I believe it was the second year after we were all elected, as in yourself, Chair, and Counselor Young, because people were complaining that they had to sit through the meetings, and so we all agreed to shift it around. And you can't please everybody all the time. You can keep moving it. You could flip flop it every year if you wanted to, but people are going to have to wait.
One way or another. Yeah, that's my recollection as well. Councillor Young, did you have a thought on this, or leave it
Yeah.
as is, as we've suggested?
I did. I think that the changes that we've made are good. I did receive a message from a separate elected that made the suggestion that we consider putting the consent agenda before the public hearings, because generally speaking, consent agenda is pretty quick. And my question would be for Kathleen, would that amount to substantial efficiency for staff and not having to hang around through the public hearings for the consent agenda?
Yes. And I can say that because like last night, because not knowing, I mean, you guys are really good at communicating ahead of time if you're going to pull an agenda item, but sometimes we don't get that. So staff, everybody is on just in case. So like as of last night, they weren't able to get off until 8:30 last night.
Right.
So yes, I think that for staff purposes, for anything on consent, that would be very helpful for them.
Okay, I think I would support taking a stab at seeing if that will function well. That will cause the public to have to wait a little bit longer for public comment, but like I said, consent agenda is usually very, very quick.
Right.
So question for you though, do you, because this was something that I think council was mindful before too, do you want to have that still before open public comment? Because then you're not getting the public comment on
No.
consent items.
No,
So it
I
would be
think the
right
public,
after.
yeah, correct.
Okay, so right after public comment, we'll do consent. So the other change that was made in the past too is putting hearings at the end. That's where it was before.
I don't think that's good. We
Okay.
need to hear from people before we're making decisions.
No, public hearings.
Oh, the
So
public
right now,
hearings.
right now they're
very
at the
end.
beginning.
Yep, yep.
And I also know because there's, again, it's weighing the who has to sit around
has
for a
to wait.
while because public hearings could involve outside entities as well. But because I was gonna say, if you want to do, you can do consent, and usually it's your public hearings that take longer than consent and separate business. So it's just a matter of, do you want public hearing or you want consent first and then go into open public comment at that point? Or no, open public comment, consent, and then public hearings, or separate business and then public hearings. That's where it used to be. All three of them require,
Public comment.
yes, and public comment will be before. Public hearings get more because they get their own public comment for that hearing. But yes, definitely, the consent items. But do you want to separate out on the agenda where it's consent and then public hearings and then separate business?
So that would be 3 opportunities.
Which is what you do. No, it's still open public comment would still only apply to consent and separate business, and anything else. And the public hearings will still have their own public comment. So you'll still have a public comment for everything and one for a hearing.
Counselors, how do you feel?
I think that sounds good. One of the things that I'm wondering if we could consider would be to set a time when the public hearings begin. And, we could have it notated that it may not begin promptly at that time, but that we wouldn't start it prior to that time. That way, somebody that's planning to attend only a public hearing would know what time that they need to be here, and they wouldn't have to hang around through the whole meeting. I mean, it makes things a little more complicated for sure, but I'm trying to strike a balance between efficiency for us, for separate electeds, for staff, but also for the public as well.
I think that would be very difficult to schedule because it's so, open public meeting is very unpredictable.
That is very true.
Yeah. In addition, I mean, if it's going to be even more complicated, there's no sense in trying to implement it.
So do we want to just go with the public hearings before separate business then? Is that what the suggestion is?
When would people be commenting on the consent agenda?
It would be right after amendments to the agenda where it is
Right.
now. So then the next 3 that we have to determine the order is going to be consent, separate business, and public hearings.
So we go consent, public hearings, separate business? Or do we feel like separate business is the same as consent, where we don't want to have staff hanging around? I mean, separate business is usually pretty quick as well. It's a challenge to try to accommodate everyone.
So we'd have open public comment. We could do consent agenda, separate business, and then we could do public hearings. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so.
That sounds good to me. Others?
That's fine.
Couple of thumbs up here. Counselor Belcott, you want to weigh in one way or the other?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And
All right.
yeah, and
Good,
this-
good suggestion though,
Yeah.
because I think the staff has had to stick around a very long time last night.
and I think that's consistent with how we've done it before. So I think this will be helpful. I am,
There
if
we
it's
go.
okay with counselors, I am going to keep bid awards as well first, just because they only happen like once or twice a year and it's a very quick thing. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, good suggestion. Don't see anything until page 9. Oh, yep, go ahead.
I was looking at the agenda while we were chatting about this. So after Pledge Allegiance and Invocation, we have special recognition, which I think is like for a time when we do resolutions. And that made me think, then I was looking, are there any guidelines for how we do resolutions? And the only thing I see is on the next page, D, it says the county manager has authority to place resolutions, but there isn't any guidance on like what we do resolutions on, or if they're just special recognition, if it's open-ended, we don't have to figure this out now, but I just think a placeholder about having some guidelines for when and how we do resolutions might be good.
Well, it's also a spot for proclamations. So like the
Yeah,
winter, New
yeah.
Year's,
I guess I was putting that in the same.
Oh, in the same,
category.
yeah.
And if I could clarify on D on the next page, that's really about county business, like when you adopt resolutions for like the affordable housing tax or, so that's what you're going to see under consent separate business. That's not the resolutions that are included in the special recognition because that is driven by council, not staff.
So in here, we don't have any kind of guidelines for either proclamations or resolutions.
Not that I'm aware of.
What
no.
do folks think about?
Well, we spend some time deliberating on them before we approve them. We review the language after Jordan puts it together, and we either agree or don't agree to move forward with them. I don't know that we need specific guidelines on how to write one out. I mean, that's really up to the council as we're having these deliberations.
Yeah, or some of the organizations that bring things forward. I don't see a need. Okay, moving on. I think to page 9.
So this was just, so I made it more condensed about those who are providing open public comment per council's direction. And I think at the last discussion, we wanted to clarify, keep the clarification in there, which is highlighted in yellow, which is any counselor may ask for a point of order, and when recognized, the chair, vice chair, or their designee may ask any person disrupting the business of the council to cease such conduct.
Okay, any thoughts on this one?
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I have a lot of thoughts on this one. I just based on our meeting from last week, I think we need to look at making some fairly significant changes to this. There were 2 events that happened last week that are very concerning to me. Both were behavioral, not necessarily in the messaging. There was some unwanted physical contact that took place that could have led to serious escalation in the room. My hat's off to the individual for exercising restraint in that situation and maintaining civility in the hearing room. There was also Another instance, which we're all aware of, that I felt was inappropriate for a public meeting of this nature. I've had my children here in meetings before. I think that anything that takes place in our meetings should be something that children can watch and witness and learn from in a productive fashion. So I think that we need to take some measures at this point to clarify more behavior that's unacceptable. And I would like to take a look at what the city has recently passed in their version of the rules of procedure in terms of identifying behaviors that are not acceptable and then consequences for that. I'll be the first one to admit when those two things took place in the meeting, they caught me off guard. I didn't think that we had anything in our rules of procedure that addressed them. I think simple civility, people should have recognized that those were inappropriate actions, but they apparently didn't. And so I think we do need to introduce that into our rules of procedure and have procedures in place for how or when individuals might be banned temporarily from public comment if they choose to abuse it and violate the rules.
Thank you. Councillor Belcott.
I somewhat disagree with you, Counselor Young, when you're talking about supporting a resolution that goes against federal law. I'm not teaching my children that. And you invite that kind of behavior in. I mean, I think it's kind of a double standard when we have several speakers that come and they speak. And if you don't like what they have to say, you cut them off. But it's okay for someone to take their clothes partially off and wipe their rear end with paper or shove another person in the audience. But neither of those two people were removed, but yet the people that don't, we don't necessarily like what they have to say, they're cut off or told to leave or whatever the case may be. It's a double standard. I think there's been plenty of times where I haven't necessarily cared for some of the comments that are made, but I sit and I listen because I listen to everybody. So I disagree.
So I think you misunderstood me, Councilor Belcott. Those two instances that you're referencing are the events that I don't believe should be tolerated in our hearing room. And so this language would be a way to prevent and have a method for removing people from the meetings and temporarily banning them from return when certain activities such as those instances take place.
So, but you would have to definitize what that behavior would be, because like undressing publicly, that does not follow the law. But when someone makes a comment that you don't necessarily care for, you need to allow them time to speak. So you're going to have to figure out a way to dictate to all those different scenarios. Like one was clearly, against the law. You wouldn't let somebody, drop drawers over by a school with children, but yet they can do it in front of adults in front of us. I mean, that to me, that's just getting into the weeds of things. And you'd have to be very specific, I would think, in order to come up with some rules around that.
We don't have a way to remove people. I mean, that's fundamentally the problem. There's no way
Yes.
to remove people. The sheriff has said they're not going to remove people, and apparently the prosecutor has said they're not going to prosecute people. So we are left with few tools that we can leave. And in those two instances, people were on their way out the door when the behavior well, not with the one, but it was like their last gesture, and then they were gone. So, and the tool that I have been told I can use is to take a recess, but that would not have helped at all in those two instances. We need to have a way to remove people and consequences that they are not allowed. They forfeit their privilege for a period of time because of their extreme, blatant behavior. So I would agree with you, Councillor Young.
Chair, do you have any suggestions of how we would do that?
I think we can look to what the city of Vancouver has done because they've been successful in removing people and banning them. And even if we're not able to remove them, if we can prohibit them from participating in the future for some period of time, there is some consequences for their behavior.
Chair. And I think to your point, you know, what the Sheriff's Department has said that they will not physically remove anybody unless I imagine there's extreme potential physical harm to somebody, where the city directs the VPD to take action. We cannot direct the Sheriff's Department to do so. Now, I agree with you, Councilor Young. I think that, you know, what happened the last couple of weeks was completely unacceptable. And absolutely, we need to find and figure out how we can take action to prevent these individuals from being here and potentially behaving in the same way that they've done. And I think we've had this conversation before. We had this conversation last year, and I don't think we got really far. And so I urge staff to, you know, look again and see what can potentially be done legally, what's within our legal rights to do so, to ban individuals. The city of Vancouver has been successful. Again, they do have different policies than we do, but we need to figure out. I just found out this morning that there was a physical altercation last week. I had no idea that had happened. It was unfortunate what happened with that individual here. It took all of us by surprise. It was disgusting, in my opinion, and I would not want to see that person here in this building again.
Go
We
ahead.
can certainly reach out to our elected prosecuting attorney and the sheriff because those are the two that set our guidelines on either removing or prohibiting them from future meetings. That's unfortunately not under our purview. But if
Great.
council would like, we can ask our chief attorney here to go back to.
Yeah, I would like to look at this because I see this as I feel like we narrowly avoided a severe altercation that could have taken place in the hearing room. And this is gonna, I mean, you know, our society is rifting further and further apart, unfortunately. And this is, in my opinion, gonna continue to get worse. And we have got to find a method. To me, in this instance, just saying, well, we don't have, you know, separate electeds cooperating is not enough. We have got to figure out a way to de-escalate things.
Great. So I think the suggestion that the county manager has provided is to follow up with the sheriff and the prosecuting attorney. And I don't think we'll be able to resolve any language at this moment. So we'll.
The other suggestion I would make
Yes, go
is
ahead.
if we could share around the city of Vancouver's their policy, which I did email to Michelle, but I don't think we need to bring it up on the screen, but we could forward that out, or better yet, the actual document itself that Jordan forwarded to myself would be better. It's easier to read than what I sent to Michelle.
Great.
I mean, it'd be so that we could consider what they, you know, how they do it.
I think that would be helpful for us to see. So thank you for that. Okay. Anything else on this page? Nope. Okay. And then on page 11, there's a few changes.
Yes, just adding the word "are" that was unintentionally left out of the sentence in number 2. And then number 3 is just capturing that members of the public may provide public testimony on removed agenda items during public comment.
Great.
For that meeting. Is that implied?
For that meeting.
Not forever.
Well, this is amendments to the weekly council time agenda. Yeah, I think it's implied based on the process for removing an agenda item.
Got it.
I can certainly add that.
And this is something we've been accommodating when,
Yes.
for whatever reason, something isn't ready. We've removed something, but the public has come to comment on things, so we've allowed that.
Yeah, clarifying if it's needed would be great.
Chair.
Yes,
I
go
don't know
ahead.
if this is page 11 under work sessions. Work sessions are essentially not set in stone, right? They happen as they're needed, correct?
They happen after council approves them, but they are scheduled pretty much
Scheduled-
every
Yes,
Wednesday. Yes.
thank you. Schedule
Yeah.
as needed. And I'm wondering, after the last couple of weeks, particularly when we had council session Tuesday evenings, if having a work session the following day is the best idea, not just for council, but also for staff. In addition, there are some work sessions where they don't last maybe 20, 30 minutes, right? And I'm thinking about, the burden of time that it causes both staff and council to be here. It's a reminder to a lot of folks, we are part-time elected officials, so we all have other jobs that we work. And sometimes this can be a challenge. So I don't know how the rest of the council feels about potentially limiting work sessions to 3 times a month, and removing work sessions the day after council session on a Tuesday evening.
So
Thoughts?
I hear you. I understand completely. It is a lot for us to be able to juggle, but I think that the work is too important. I mean, if we're going to reduce our work session schedule, then we got to start talking about which work sessions we're going to cancel. That's the reality of it. So I'm open to thinking of maybe some different times or something like that, but I don't see the possibility of us reducing the amount of work sessions we have. I mean, I don't, Kathleen, I don't know how long our list of work sessions is, but I know we're constantly hearing her say, this one sounds like it's one that can wait a little bit of time, so we'll hit this the first thing next year. There's always this big list, and we're always prioritizing. And I wouldn't want to prioritize them what we don't have a work session on. I think it's all important.
And I agree with you, Councilor Young, and I think that is a kind of a question for staff on how efficient we can be in stacking as many work sessions within that 3-hour block on as fewer Wednesdays as possible. I guess is really more of the. And to your point, last year I think at the end of the year there was really not much of an option other than have these work sessions because we were tight on schedule. We're still working on the comp plan, and that's taking up a lot of time and requiring work sessions. And another thing I like to advise or remind councilors to think about, the work sessions that are being requested and determining whether or not they are absolutely needed.
Councilor Belcott.
I agree with Counselor Young. I'm not interested in stacking loads of work sessions a few times a month because, I mean, then it would just be a marathon. I believe that things will ease up after we've been working on the comp and GMA. That's been since you, Chair, myself, and Counselor Young have been elected. And I will say this job is not part-time. That's a lie.
Oh, I agree. Completely
yeah,
agree with you.
That's that's not a reality. I mean, it's insane the amount of meetings that we're in that the public don't see. And I have to continuously say to people, we're not in session for a couple of months during the year. We're all year round. And then our boards and committees and the meetings and the constituents and all the other things that we have. So that's not reality. Yeah. Is it a pain in the butt to have like after the evening meetings once a month rolled right into Wednesday meetings? Yes, but that's just how it is. And that's usually just once a month. I would not want to do marathon work sessions. I agree with you, Counselor Fuentes. I don't think that all the work sessions, are necessary in some cases, but we all have different opinions and we all have things that are of different importance to us. And I will say that when I was newly elected, I needed all the work sessions to understand what was even happening, because it is a learning curve and it's a new job. So you're just going to
Thank-
have a lot to begin with.
Thank you. And I can certainly appreciate everybody's perspective, and it makes sense. And to everybody's point, I think once we get done with the comp plan, I think things will ease up a little bit. But yes, absolutely. This is not a part-time job. I think this is just a second full-time job for all of us. We do love what we do, which is why we do it. But so we'll stick to what we currently have, and no marathon work sessions.
There still may be some marathon work sessions out there, but thanks for that discussion. I'm turning the page to page 12. Anything on page 12? Okay, 13. Anything on 13?
I don't have any other further edits from your discussions last time. So if council has other suggested edits, you can certainly discuss those.
I don't have a suggestion, but I would like to have a quick discussion and see how everybody feels like it went during this last budget session, with how we have it established with counselors giving plenty of notice prior to offering an amendment and things like that. I feel like it went well. Does everybody else feel the same?
Chair, well, considering it was my first time going through it, I think it went fairly smooth. I expect that it'll be even smoother unless things completely change this year. But otherwise, it was fine.
It went better than last year because we came up to the week before Christmas. It kept going and going, and we were having meetings almost every day for a second there.
Right. I don't have any suggestions related to the rules and procedures regarding the budget. I do think that the council had more opportunity to weigh in from a policy perspective. I think that the critical needs, there may have been some confusion about what should have been in the regular budget or what was an additional critical. There was some confusion that I think could be ironed out, but
We're not doing that again.
Oh,
So
there were things I liked about
it'll
it,
be
though.
submitted well, you're still going to see it all, just won't be two separate processes because I do think
Ah.
it caused confusion. So it'll be all at once. And then one thing that Emily and I, as we were kind of going over how it went, because it was a little different, one thing that I did really like, even though it was only critical needs last year, was the ability for departments to also talk to council directly, so that I'm not just, so I think don't quote me on this. But I think with our schedule, we're actually looking at, before I even solidify my recommendations, to potentially have departments and offices share their information with council and me at the same time, so that we're all here. I do think that was a good change from before.
Okay, you're on the public record right now.
Yeah, I think that's where we landed. But I know we're not doing two separate processes because that did cause
Right.
confusion, but I do think we got good things out of that process.
Yes, and I
that we
agree. It
wanna
was
ensure
good
that-
to hear from the departments. Other thoughts on the budget? I guess there'll be more to talk about further on. So I feel like we've got our basic direction on the rules and procedures. Not everyone agrees on everything, but
So I just want to confirm, I can relook at the language regarding doing testimony on agenda items removed at that meeting and make sure that that's clear. And then the only other question that was out there was regarding the removal of a person or prohibiting from attending. Is that something council wants to, while we'll reach out to the prosecuting attorney and the sheriff, does council want to move forward with as is language on that right now, or wait until we hear back and then have another public discussion and see?
I'm wondering if perhaps maybe the chair and myself as vice chair could meet with them, and we can all just kind of have a discussion and brainstorm together on what might be a possibility.
With Tony and Sarah.
There is an avenue, counselor, where all counselors can be included in that discussion with the.
Okay.
I think we did this last year at one point, where all counselors were able to have that discussion directly with the prosecutor and our sheriff's office.
would this be executive session or a public meeting?
answer, can you ask that again?
Okay, would this be executive session
Yes.
or a public meeting?
Yes, it'd be.
It could be executive
yes.
session. Okay. I think it's worth really exploring before we move all of the rules and procedures forward, because I think it's really, it's been very frustrating for me.
So we'll reach out and try to get that scheduled as soon as we can. And then based on those discussions, I might bring it back to council one more time just to say, yes, we're ready for a public hearing.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks, everyone, for the discussion, and we'll move on then to new business. Draft council meeting date, time off.
Yes. So, yeah, as Councillor Young mentioned, we are looking at work sessions and public hearings. We already have stuff scheduled out for like budget and everything else. Any work session and hearing that's scheduled is on your calendar. So just note that there's always subject to change. We did have, it just prompted, we have the conversation every year, usually as we get into summer, about holidays and having weeks off. And so, or time off for council meetings. And so just helping with our planning purposes. And I know some councilors are going to take some individual time off. I just drafted based on what council has done historically and with holidays to see if you are acceptable to cancel the meetings of those weeks so that you and staff get a little break during the year. So instead of coming back every time we have a holiday, I'm just trying to get this solidified at one time so we can plan appropriately.
Okay, thank you. Have people had a chance to take a look at the weeks that are proposed for, well, and you may call it time off. I think there'll be no council meetings, but that does not mean the councilors are not going to plenty of meetings.
Time off from the dais, but we're still
Yeah.
at commit boards and commissions, yes. And other jobs.
Right.
And I did note on here on the 4th of July, just because it lands, I believe, on a weekend. I don't know if council wanted to take the week before or the week after.
That was
Which
for
date does it land on?
On a Saturday.
It's on a Saturday.
Saturday, yes.
Saturday?
That'll
Oh,
give you Sunday to recover.
And the rest of the week.
You'd like it to be after the week after.
I'm open to either. Doesn't matter to me.
yeah.
Any thoughts before or
Either
after?
is fine.
for July. Was that for July?
That's July,
Oh, I prefer the week after.
week after.
So that would be the
Okay.
July 6th through the July 10th.
6th through
Yes.
the 10th.
That works.
Okay.
And I also just want to put the caveat out there. Of course, we can always do special meetings. If there's something that comes up or an urgent work session or whatever, we can do a 24-hour notice meeting for council. So
Okay, that's
Kathleen, are we still doing the placeholders? Is that still, I know we had that towards the end of the year, just in
We've
case,
had-
but are we still doing that?
I believe we do have them on Tuesday afternoons. We haven't, because we used to do the extra Tuesday meeting and we reduced that. So we kept the placeholder in case we needed it, but we've been doing okay so far. I think we'd only have to use it if have a lot of agenda items or if there's something that's time sensitive. But I
Seems
do
ru-
believe they're still on your calendar.
Yeah, routinely at the end of the year where things get loaded up. So we have a total of 10 weeks here. I have tried to plan any time off I might take around those 10 weeks that we have off, but are people, oh, you want the nod from us on these weeks off?
It would be nice for so that we can get notices out and just planning purposes moving forward.
Okay, so thumbs up on the dais. How about online? Counselor Young?
I'm
Okay.
fine. I don't know, but when we go on vacation, it's typically very, very short notice because of our hectic calendar, but I usually end up signing into our meetings even when we're gone, so I'm fine with any time.
Right, right. So there's some flexibility just inherent with this schedule, and as needed, we can,
We can do 24-hour notices.
24-hour notice.
Meetings, yeah.
okay, sounds good. So nod on that one. 5.2 Habitat for Humanity Letter of Support Request. Is that Jordan or is that Counselor Young? Or is it Counselor Fuentes?
Well, I can certainly speak to it, absolutely, but I don't know if Jordan, since he's the one that drafted the letter, is he on? Jordan, do you want to take the
Council,
lead on that?
I am on, yes.
Oh, if you don't mind taking the lead on this?
Sure thing. So counselors had the opportunity a little bit ago to meet with some folks from Habitat for Humanity with Counselor Fuentes and Counselor Little, and they have a request into the council for a letter of support for a project they are working on. And so Evergreen Habitat for Humanity is working on purchasing a mobile home park. It's actually technically two adjacent mobile home parks on Highway 99 at a total cost of $12 million. They have secured $4 million from the state's Housing Trust Fund for this effort. They're working on raising another $4 million in private donations for the project, and they are asking the state legislature for the additional $4 million. And for that part, they are seeking a letter of support from the council for the legislative ask of that additional $4 million. And so what their plan is that they are going to buy the park. There are some units in decent shape, but many of the units in the park are not in good shape. They're a little bit run down or have some structural issues. And if you look at the full materials that were sent here, there are some pictures included, and you can kind of see that the quality of units kind of ranges. There are 105 mobile homes in this park, and about 65% of those spots have residents in them. And Habitat has been noticing some of the things that were talked about at the hearing last night, namely rising rents, less services being provided to residents, and the owners are looking to sell the park. And so Habitat has a 60-day letter of intent, and if they are successful in getting the funding from the legislature that they're asking, they can move towards a purchase and sale agreement. And their plan would be to stabilize the park, since, as I noted, many of the units are in bad shape, and then to work with Wolf Industries or another provider to put some other modular homes on some of the other spots on permanent foundations to be able to convert this to permanently affordable manufactured housing there on the park. There is also some undeveloped acreage, as you can see there on the map, and that could potentially be developed as well into additional affordable housing. The total property is almost 19 acres, zoned R43, and another 12 acres zoned GC. And so they could get up to potentially 280 units if they were able to do some further development on the park in the long term. But in the short term, they were just looking to be able to purchase the park. And I know that there's also going up along Highway 99 there, they're anticipating having a Vine stop there. And so to the extent that there's more affordable housing there, it would also be connected to some services and transit. And so I think we have Josh Townsley also available online from Evergreen Habitat if council has specific questions, but happy to try to take any that you have as well about this letter of support request.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate all the pictures, quite dramatic. I'm wondering what the current zoning is and how many residents reside there currently.
So I think they're based on the numbers that we've been given from Evergreen Habitat, with 65% of the 105 spots having residents. We're looking at, depending on how many folks are in each residency, if you have an average of maybe two or so, there's, probably 115 to 140 people there currently, I would estimate based on the information we've gotten.
And to clarify, Chair, so there are 105 units, as you mentioned, Jordan. 65% of those are currently occupied with a mobile home. The other 35% or so are vacant. And what Habitat for Humanity will be doing is adding mobile homes into the empty spaces, in addition to potentially adding additional housing up to 285 based on current zoning.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I would also add, I am no expert, but my guess would be that the condition of this particular park, really the only viable financial path forward for it without subsidized project like this is redevelopment. It's just in such bad shape that realistically it wouldn't pencil out to come in and make a huge monetary investment at the same time as not being able to raise the rent to cover that investment that somebody would make. So I'm super excited about this project. I'm 100% behind it. I think this is a great way to support affordable housing in our community. And I really look forward to working with Habitat on their experience with this, you know, and helping us with our goals in the future with affordable housing and seeing how we can help folks that live in mobile home parks. So 100% support in writing the letter, helping them to gain the funding they need to move forward with this.
Great, thank you. I'd be supportive as well, and I appreciate Habitat for Humanity. This is not an easy project by any means, so I admire their courage in taking it on. Others?
Like 100% supportive.
Okay,
Same.
thumbs up all around. So thank you to counselors for bringing this forward. And we can highlight for our lobbyist, if it's the legislature that potentially can provide some funding for this, we can talk about this on Monday, Jordan, or you could let Josh know. That'd be great. Okay, moving on to counselor reports. Anyone have anything to report on the boards and commission that they serve on?
Chair.
Yes, please go ahead.
I'm on the Ledge Committee, and I think we have 3 meetings last week, and there's one this evening and one tomorrow. Basically, we're just going through all the bills that are dying off that WASC is watching. And I think things are going to be interesting as they shake out. So just busy with that in particular.
Great, thanks for your involvement with that. We appreciate it. Anything else? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, Counselor Young and I are on the opioid abatement committee, and the good news is that there will be 2.4 million available for RFPs for grants in the community, and the proposals are due on March 20th, and those will be on the county website as well as Carolyn's portal.
Is it up now on the website or
Not yet. It will
not
be
yet?
soon.
But good, great.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Is it like twice as much as we've had in the past? Seems like it. We're not sure.
I forget, I'm on these different committees, but it is a significant amount.
Good. Okay. Any other
Chair?
reports? Yes.
Yes. So thank you, Councilor Little, for reporting on that. I had just a little bit to add. One is we lost a member of the OAC recently. Dr. Kevin Fisher served on it for a couple years. He has been incredibly helpful on that board. You know, his role with North Star, I think is what the program is called. It used to be Community Services Northwest. It's now the Cowlitz, run by Cowlitz Tribe. He was fantastic. His knowledge was priceless. Let me put it that way. And then we have since then introduced a new member, which is John Hart, and he is with Peace Health. He is the Peace Health Director of Addiction Medicine. So we're super excited about him being on the board and bringing his expertise to the panel as well. So just wanted to thank everybody on the OAC for all the work they do. It is one of those more time-consuming committee assignments that we have, but rewarding.
Thank you for that. So is Dr. Fisher still in the community?
Yes, yeah, I
He's
believe
still-
so. He is.
Good.
He just
Yeah.
his role has changed, and he's not quite as outward facing as he used to be. And so this, I think, one of the things that he had to scale back on. But He was phenomenal.
Great, thank you for that. Not a board or commission that I serve on, but the Children's Justice Center. I visited, they had an open house. They just moved into the Dolly Center, or Dolly Building? Dolly Building. And it's on 500 West 8th Street in Vancouver. So it gives them more space to serve a very vulnerable population. This is one of the space changes that three of us participated in approving and providing funding for. So it's good to see this come full circle and people moving in and being happy about that. Okay, enough about boards and commissions. Work session request for Vancouver Regional Library update with the director and or board chair.
This is the request of council to put this on the agenda.
Yes, I think we've received a number of emails from folks, and I think, and I listened to that meeting, and it was very confused. So I think, and I hadn't been following the process for their strategic plan, so I thought it'd be worthwhile just for the council to understand what our role is and how things unfolded. And I know they had a big meeting last night, so it'd be good to get an update. Are folks interested in that? 2, 4, 5. Okay.
So just getting an update on how things are going at the library, just so that we can provide them some.
Oh, I would like to understand how the process
The strategic planning
unfolded
process.
and just in terms of process, because it did seem like there was confusion about what they were actually voting on, and they seemed to be pressed to make decisions right away. So,
Okay. And we'll try to keep that to like 10 to 15 minutes, understanding council may have questions.
right. And what
Thank you.
role we have related to appointments and all of that. That'd be great. Good. Then we're moving on to policy updates. Jordan, I believe that's you.
Good afternoon again, Council. Again, for the record, Jordan Bogey, Policy Analyst. Just a couple of updates for you today. So as a reminder, the House of Origin cutoff was last night, 5 p.m. And I know everyone, all the councilors received a list of some of the bills we've been tracking that are alive and dead from our lobbyist. I haven't had a chance to review those in depth since that came in this morning, but we'll continue to monitor those. And we'll have an update for you on Monday. But if, as you're looking at that list, if there's anything else you want to dive into more, just let me know and we can make sure we highlight those. And then the other update that I have for you is related to Senate Bill 5609 regarding cultural resources. This was the bill that so previously did not allow any categorical exemptions under SEPA if a cultural resources study hasn't been done. This changes that process to now require having a process with local tribes and adopting a model ordinance about how that process will occur for looking at cultural resources. The Association of Counties was concerned about this from a mandate perspective and slowing development down. And council had asked me to reach out to the Cowlitz tribe. I just want to let you know I have made some outreach, but haven't heard back since that conversation yesterday. And so we'll keep you in the loop as that moves forward. But those are the only updates I have for you today, other than just to say that there is also some information in that email from our lobbyists about the revenue projections that are about 1.3% higher than previously anticipated over the next biennium. And so that gives the legislature a little bit more cushion in terms of some of the cuts they've been considering this session. And we can anticipate seeing some of those budget drafts here in the next week or so.
Great. Any questions for Jordan? All right. Thank you, Jordan. Okay, finally, executive session 9.1 RCW 42.30.110 paren 1 paren little g for 5 minutes with no potential after action. So we'll return at 2:15.
The council chair has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 5 minutes and open session will reconvene at 2:20. Thank you. The Clark County Council Chair has asked us to announce that executive session will be extended for an additional 3 minutes and open session will reconvene at 2:23. Thank you.
Council has returned from our executive session. There's no after action. And without objection, this meeting is adjourned.